Hello and welcome to the framework tutorial for Great Conjunction. Framework is the first menu page, so Great Conjunction has three sequencers. Sequencer 1, 2, and 3 can be accessed with these buttons right here. But if you kind of want an overview of what's going on with the whole thing, you just click the menu page once, and now you're into this lovely screen here, which gives you a whole bunch of information at once. And we'll kind of tackle that as we go. So if I hit the play button, you will only hear this first sequencer, which you can see is the glyph that looks like an alpha symbol there. Second sequencer looks like a little two-legged robot. And third one looks like a backwards number 3, or in my mind at some point, kind of looked like the black and white keys of a piano. So if I hit play, we should just be hearing the first sequencer. That's because these two are muted. You see these little M's there? That's just a little reminder that they are muted. So let's just go ahead and hit play. And you can see that that first line there corresponds to this sequencer here and what you're hearing. And Great Conjunction's doing what it loves to do. Right now it is, you can see by this little triangle here by the note, it's kind of just randomly generating a note within the given scale, octave, and span settings, which we've gone over in a prior tutorial. So let me just hit stop there. So what do some of these other things mean? Well, let's start with the upper left. Here is this question mark, question mark, question mark. That's the order in which each of the three sequencers are processed. Right now, that means it's randomized every event, but you can set it to be any combination of the three. And in order to really hear this, we'll have to run all three sequencers at the same time. So I'm going to unmute these guys. And bear with me, I'm going to simplify a couple things here. We're just going to turn everything to just a monophonic sequence. And so back on this page, so what we'll hear is the order of processing is just right now 1, 2, 3. And so every time a sequencer event happens in which all three events are trying to play something, sequencer 1 gets to be sent first, 2 is second, and the sequencer 3 is third, which kind of gives sequencer 3 dominance, but doesn't always mean that it sounds that way. So let's just hear, this might sound like total chaos, but let's do it. You heard what it sounded like. Actually, let's just bring these in one at a time. So we'll start with just the first one. Now I'm going to go unmute sequencer 2. And now let's unmute sequencer 3. So, kind of chaotic. Let's actually lock this into a certain sound. That'll help us realize what's happening. Let's try that again. So what happens if we change the order with this order algorithm here? Maybe difficult to discern with so much chaotic stuff going on, so let's just make a very easily recognizable 4-bar loop. Let's set each of these to the same meter. So you can hear now, as I rotate through the different order, you get some pretty different results just by changing the order in which the chip is told to process the signal. And let's randomize it. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit nuts. So let's go back to just a single sequence. I'm going to mute 2 and 3. And we're going to go back to 1. Let's stretch it out a little bit. So what is this rotate here? So that's going to be this knob up there. That's the voice mode, VM rotate. So it has two options. Rotate means it's going to round robin select the next available voice instead of cutting off the same voice. So you can either have each sequencer hardwired to a certain voice, or you can have it rotate. So you can hear these notes are sustaining out. Sounds pretty nice and flowy. And for melodic stuff or for ambient stuff, that's going to be great. But if you switch it over to static, you can immediately hear that those notes are actually cutting off the preceding sound. So once again, here's rotate. So anything with a decay is going to carry forth and has nine voice polyphonic. So you can have up to 9 tones ringing out. So going across here, this guy, this is where you're going to adjust your tempo. We've talked about the sequencer representation here. Now let's talk about what these guys are. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. These are your volume controls. The chip has 15 levels of volume built in. I will say that I don't know who designed this, but the first 8 levels are almost indistinguishable, really leaving most of the action once you get to up to 8 and beyond. With 15 being the highest. Now if you turn it one more, you can randomize. I should probably skew this randomization to hit more of the upper side, because really 1 through 7 are just almost indistinguishable. But right now, it really truly randomizes between 1 and 15, inclusive. This guy here below it, here's your volume, here's your meter. So you've got 1 beat, half, quarter, dotted quarter, triplet quarter, same eighth, dotted eighth, triplet eighth, all the way up to 16th. I haven't really gone beyond there. I think if you need to go faster than that, you're probably going to be cranking up or doubling your tempo. And so these are just the next ones. So here's your volume here. It's muted right now, so you wouldn't hear anything anyway. Meter, volume, meter subdivision, I think is how I refer to it in the manual. And then we've got this guy. What in the heck is this pointing at? That is a good question. So that's your lead track. So in order to keep everything synchronized, if you're playing back something, so let's get this going again, and let's have it evolve some notes just to make that a little more interesting. We'll get track 2, kind of thinking about something here. So if the little arrow is pointing at track 1, that means if I decide to change the meter of any of the other 2 tracks, it's going to wait until the next step of the lead track in order for that to take effect. That keeps everything synchronized. So, if you change meter and it's not exactly on beat, if I didn't have this locked down, it would be a jumbled mess. So, it just quantizes your changes for you. And you can see that now, I can rock this around anywhere, get it cruising, and if I go back to 8th notes, they're back in sync. And it's syncing to track 1. And you can say, oh, I really want to keep things in sync with the 3rd track. However you want to do it. And that's it for the framework page. Thanks.